welcome to card 4 of my summer card making series. I'm starting off with this My Favorite Things Fred Bear and the Pinwheel image that I stamped onto CC Designs 110-pound Copic cardstock with Memento ink. And I'm just starting laying down my base of my colors. I'm using E33 and then E35, and 37, 39, or 29, sorry. Very jagged coloring, kind of jerky movements back and forth, purposely not doing like the circular smooth blending that I normally do. And I'm also staying away from the edges. You guys will see why in a couple minutes. But just working lightest to darkest and then working my way back to the lightest again, and just again keeping it very kind of jagged because it's a bear and they've got, you know, fur and it's textured and messy and everything else. So I don't want like a perfectly smooth blend of color. So just basically scribbling the color on and not being perfect. So, and again, and also trying not to oversaturate the cardstock. That's another reason why I'm not blending it a whole lot. I don't want to oversaturate. I want just the color down and that's it. Again, there's a reason for that and you guys will see why right away. So once I'm going back to the lightest, just to get it blended out a little bit so it's not a total disaster, because it's looking pretty darn messy right now. And then finally going back in with my E33 again, just to get all the white spaces filled. And you could just about leave it at this point when I'm done here. Just he's got, you know, some texture going on and he looks like a bear. But my whole point of doing this is I want to show how you can do some real fun texture. This is a technique a lot of people have probably seen it. Maybe I've never shown this before, but a lot of other people have. I just took an old washcloth and some colorless blender and dabbed a few drops onto it, and then you just dab it right over the image. And that is how you get some really fun texture. So it's super simple, but again, you don't want to oversaturate the cardstock because otherwise the colorless blender will press it outside the lines. And yeah, it's just something fun to play with. And an image like this is perfect for it, so it just looks so cute. So once I'm done that, go on to the little pinwheel and just using yellow, blue, and red to match the pattern paper that I'd already planned on using. So super quick and simple. Yeah, and then R24 and then adding R17, which doesn't need to be blended at all because they just kind of blend themselves together. And then for the center of the pinwheel and the little handle, I just colored it black, didn't bother with any shading. Since I'm doing so much other stuff, I was like, oh, and it's just tiny little spots like that. There's no point even trying to blend that. They're just too small. So once that was done, I masked the image. I'd done this before I started filming. I just stamped Fred Bear onto some Eclipse masking tape, quickly trimmed it out, not being overly particular with, you know, because he seems like he's more detailed, but actually once you start trimming, it's not so bad. And then I attached my Copic B04 marker to my little airbrush, and I tested it out there on a scrap piece of cardstock, and then I'm just airbrushing the background around little Fred Bear, and then I'm going to concentrate it a little bit closest to him just to deepen the color just a little bit, and then that's all there was to that. So take my little airbrush apart so you don't waste the air, and then peel off the mask. It just looks so cute. So once that's done, I need to make a little bit of ground for him to be standing on. So I just used YG03 and quickly scribbled that down, and then added YG25, just deepened that up a little bit, and then blended it back again with the YG03. And then for the grass itself, I could use Copics for this, but I don't know, my Prism colors were sitting right in front of me, and I thought it'd just give it a little bit more fun texture and dimension. So I just used some different pencil crayons and just, yeah, you just flick the pencil crayon, just straight lines, flick it away, back and forth, small ones, long ones, whatever. And I just used 4 different colors for that, just to make grass. And then finally, I used my paper trimmer to trim off some of the top of the image. And then I just used my detail scissors to trim around the pinwheel, so that kind of pops out of the box a little bit. And then for the pattern paper, I'm using the My Mind's Eye on the Sunny Side pattern paper. And I have to apologize. I was so, I don't know, just kind of fuzzy by the time I made this card. It was kind of later at night, and I didn't even think to move the camera back. So you guys are all getting a really up-close view on this one. Oi. So I die cut the one pattern paper with my Circle Spellbinders dies, adhered it to the card front, and then just used my scissors to trim off the parts that were hanging over. And then I matted the main image with some black cardstock, and that just made it pop a whole lot more. I loved how that looked. And yeah, I'm a little frustrated with myself that I didn't back the camera up a little bit. But anyway, I chose a sentiment from my Wish You Were Here sentiment set and stamped it onto a scrap of yellow cardstock, and then just punched it out with one of my Stampin' Up! Oval punches. And then I'm just going to adhere that over the main image. That's kind of why I put that yellow circle of pattern paper there. I was kind of thinking like sun, sunshine, whatever. So just, oh, bright and cheerful. Sorry, I was just about to sneeze. Anyway, I also grabbed a few Prima flowers from my stash and just some random brads to attach them. Attached the bigger ones with larger brads, and I just used black brads again to kind of tie everything together, black on the sentiment and on the pinwheel and the mat around the main image. So just some random little Prima flowers in the same colors as the pattern paper. So once I've got all of those attached, I'm going to put my adhesive on the card front here, and I'm going to mat that with some bright red cardstock, just like so. So once I've got that matted on the red cardstock, I'm going to apply some more adhesive and then attach that to my card base, which is going to be a lighter blue cardstock this time. And yeah, so frustrated myself for not backing the camera up. Like, you guys can hardly see anything. I'm so sorry about that. Lesson learned. So on the inside of the card, I just used up more pattern papers left over from the outside and followed the exact same layout. It's kind of a trend with me lately, just to kind of keep things the same, and it just keeps it simpler, like rather than reinventing the wheel. So did the same thing with the die cut circle, trim that off, and then cut a piece of white cardstock for a place to write something on, and then I matted that with black again just because I liked how that looked. It just made it pop over the pattern paper. And then I just chose another sentiment from the Wish You Were Here sentiment set and stamped it onto the remaining piece of yellow cardstock. So inked that up with the VersaFine. That's what I used on the first sentiment, if I didn't say that before. So yeah, inked it up with the VersaFine Onyx Black, punched it out with a smaller oval punch, and then I'm going to adhere that to the inside of the place where you're going to write your greeting or whatever. And then I'm going to adhere that to the inside of the card, and that's all there is to it. So there'll be a link to my blog post with links to all the supplies used in the info box below the video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!